So let's go. What about question number 1? CBB, okay. So basically the B is the right answer as such for that. And because you need the part urgently and you want the contract to complete the work as soon as possible, you need to align the vendor with your objective. And the best way to do so is to provide an incentive to achieve this objective. Right? What we'll do, we'll go a little slow so that Anil can read the questions and try attempting it. Okay. So what about question number 2? So Anil, you can read and can respond. I will wait for your answer. Okay, you have already answered. Very good. So the CBC. Okay. Basically, this is again the answer is C in this case. It is a request for proposal, and I think this quite well understood by Rahul and Sep because they were in the session. Unfortunately, Anil couldn't attend it. So basically, request for proposal contains not only the approach, more details, but also the bid, also the amount. So that is why the request for proposal is the right answer for this. What about question number 3? CCC. Okay. What is the question? Let's. Okay, I answered the second question. I don't know. It is okay. Which of the following type of contract would offer the greatest incentive to the contractor? How can it be fixed price? See, which of the following type of contract would offer the greatest incentive to the contractor? See, the question is this, and you look at the nature of the contract. What it suggests? It suggests that let's say fixed price plus incentive fee. In this case, incentive fee is fixed, right? It is decided in the beginning. It's not going to change irrespective of the price of the project changes or not, isn't it? Now, if you look at A, cost plus percentage of cost as an award fee. Now, look at this. What is this? If the cost nobody knows right now what is the project, and the cost escalate, that because the award fee is percentage of the cost, that will also escalate, isn't it? While in the case of C, the incentive is fixed. It's not going to increase or decrease. Right? What about question number 4? Okay, let's read the question and then see. During risk analysis, you find that there is no mitigation plan for a risk except to contract this work to outside agency. That means we are transferring it. Okay. You want to protect your company from the risk by transferring the risk to the agency, but also you do not have much understanding of the subject and can provide only limited scope definition and requirement. What is the best contract type you should use? So there are two factors in this. Correct? There are two factors. One is I don't know about the scope very much. I'm not very sure about the scope. Therefore, fixed price may not be an appropriate one. But so I have to go to the cost reimbursement. But with the cost reimbursement, I also want my company to protect from the risk. Okay. So which one it should be? The cost plus percentage of cost or cost plus fixed fee? Which one is safer? See, if you see, fixed price is not possible because the scope definition is not very clear. So nobody will be able to take the fixed price, right? Now the second, time and material is the most dangerous type of contract or most open contract with respect to the uh, buyer. Now the two things which are left is B and C, cost reimbursement. So the B, if the cost escalate, it is the same as in the question number 3, right? It will offer the greatest incentive to the contractor, and therefore it is not offering the incentive to the seller. So sorry, buyer, right? So the C is preferred over B, right? Does that make sense? Question number 5. Okay, sorry. I just put the mute and forgot to unmute. See, look at the options. What is the question? In what sense the contract closure is different from administrative closure, right? So contract closure means closure of the procurement, and administrative closure means closure of the project. Now, when we say a contract can be closed more than once during project life cycle, while administrative closure occurs only once. So I am not sure how a contract can be closed multiple times. There might be multiple procurement, but it says a contract. It's not saying contracts. It's a it's a one contract, then can be closed only once, no? If there are multiple procurement, then there will be multiple contracts. So even if you are procuring throughout the project or throughout couple of months, 6 months, 1 year, but you would be having only one contract with the person, one vendor for procuring some particular thing, and that contract can be closed only once, right? And if they are with multiple people, multiple vendors, then there will be multiple contract. I say if there is one contract, can be closed only once. No. Any confusion? Or is that clear? Or we should, you want it to be discussed, or you have some other opinion about it? Rahul, is that clear? Are you okay with that? Okay. What about question number 6? Good morning, Rupesh. We are going through the procurement questions. The subject we covered yesterday, and today we are on the 6th questions right now. All A? Good. So let's go for question number 7. Okay. I think I said this couple of times, and I think that is missed out somewhere, it looks to me. The primary objective of incentive in a fixed price plus incentive fee or the cost plus incentive fee type of contract is. Actually, what we are trying to do by providing incentive. Yesterday I gave two examples that you can ask the person to complete the project before a due date or before a particular date. You can also encourage sailor to complete the project within a budget or less than a budget. You can have other objectives also, isn't it? So by having incentive fee, I'm not sure how the risk can be reduced. But if you put in a, if I want to complete something by a particular date, okay, and I put an incentive to the vendor that if you complete by this date, I'm going to give you X amount or X thing, something, whatever. Incentive could be anything. Non-monetary benefits can also be incentives if they are declared. Then don't you think the seller will also look to complete the project on the same date? What I'm trying to achieve by providing incentives, what I'm trying to achieve, that what is my objective should also be the objective of seller, or what is my primary objective, that should be the primary objective of seller as well, isn't it? What do you think? I am concentrating on one thing and I want seller also concentrate on that thing, and therefore I have put an incentive for that, and therefore it should be B. In fact, this also shows one another thing, that when we negotiate with the person, what we should look for. We talk about, see, if we choose D, what we are trying to do, we are trying to, in a negotiation, we are trying to win the negotiation, right? By putting pressure on seller or anybody else in front of us. If a negotiation, anybody any two people can be there. So we are trying other person to do my job in the negotiation and trying to win that. If I say C, maybe I'm trying to lose, but I'm giving an offer other person to win. Probably that. But if you choose B, what is this? It's not about me winning, or it's not about that person winning. It's about we both winning, isn't it? That's the conflict management kind of things we talk about in human resource, right? So in every negotiation, whatever you do with anyone, look for that both should win. Only then you achieve an stability. When you are talking to your team member is asking for something, it's a negotiation. Okay, for you it could be a low stake negotiation, but for your team member it could be a high stake negotiations. Now, if you try to pressurize your team members because you have a higher authority, or you can actually make your team member to shut, like in this case, maybe the customer can make vendor not to speak or accept his demand. That is a win-lose kind of negotiation. And if that happens, what will happen, that the thinking of the other person who have lost will always be to compensate this loss with something else. So wherever he will find you are weak, or wherever he will find that he can make use of the situation in his favor as you made the situation in your favor, he will try to do that, and that will make you lose and that person win. And we will continue in that kind of fashion in a win-lose game. No, and at the end, it's like monkey and the two cats. Nobody will win, both end up losing. So in a simple negotiation, I can tell you in a very simple thing, if a negotiation is not ended in a win-win situation, if a negotiation is not ended in win, it is probably will end in a lose-lose situation. And the same thing is here. Because we want something to happen on a particular date, we can force the vendor to do that without any incentive. Okay, but by providing incentive, we are motivating vendors to have the same objective as I have, and that caused the win-win situation. Instead of pressurizing means it's a win-lose, means he will lose, I will win. But if you put an incentive, and if incentive is good enough for the vendor to get motivated to achieve this objective, he will do that, and he will win the prize and you will win the date. And that's what stable negotiations are all about, and that is what confronting is all about, and that is what problem solving is all about. Okay, let's move to the next question. It is question number 8. All C. Reach to a mutual agreement for the contract? Yes. In fact, I answered the next question. I didn't check this out. Okay. What about the 9th question then? In fact, the question number 8 applies to any negotiation. It is not only about the vendor and customer. DBB. Okay. Which of the following is the advantage of having a separate contract administration department? Okay, forget about separate contract administration department. I say, what is the benefit of having a separate department of anything? Basically, we are talking about in a projectized organization, why should we have functions? The contract and administration department become a function, right? A group of architects is a function. A group of technologists is a function. An administration department is a function. So if you generalize this question, it is talking about why should there be a function in a projectized organization. More loyalty towards the project. Do you think creating a function will bring loyalty? No, it will not. Contract expert work on a project at a time. Do you think so? That if you have a separate function, that means the person who belong to that function will not be dedicated to you, and therefore achieving B will become even difficult actually. If you look at C, bigger role for project manager to play in contracting, how that will be able to achieve, because the department will take, and easy availability of contracting expertise, that would be right. Why we normally form groups? Why you form a group of architects in your project, so that any project need architect, you can approach that particular group and get one at least. Otherwise, the architect will be engaged some of the project, and from that project it will be difficult to give attention to the other projects. But if you have a group, normally all the functions in your organizations are meant for that purpose, that particular facility can be used by anyone easily. What about if every project has an admin function or one admin person allocated to him? Either you will be wasting this person or overusing it for some time, and your capability limited to the capability of this person only. But if you have a separate administration department, they can build a lot of capabilities around it, right? And therefore they can have, if X person is not able to do something, there will be a Y person in the project, in the same function, who will be able to do that thing, right? So the any function, the primary purpose of the any function to create in an organization is to easily availability of the expertise. I will say expertise. Expertise does not mean expert. Skill. You say you have an easy availability of that skill. Anybody can approach and can get his things addressed, and they can build the capability, right? So basically the answer is D in this case. Let's go to the question number 10. Okay, let's look at the question. A seller is delivered the product as per the scope of the work of the contract. However, buyer is not happy. The contract is, she is asking about the legal terms. It's not about that your relationship is broken, not broken. It's simple saying contract is complete or not complete. See, whatever written in contract is done, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to highlight, that contract is a written document. If something you have written, you have to obey. There is no choice. If you have written it incorrectly, you have to do things incorrectly, or you correct the contract first before you correct the course. So it is not possible. Nowhere contract is written that buyer should be happy. Is this the have you ever seen contract where which is written that buyer should be happy? Have you ever seen a contract like that? No, right? So that's not a condition to complete the contract. What is the condition to complete the contract? What is written in the contract is done or not. And the seller is delivered the product as per the scope of the work of the contract, right? So what does it mean? He has done the job as per the contract. Buyer is happy and happy has nothing to do with the contract. The legality when come into picture, it's not so straightforward. It's legality sometimes does not talk about your behavioral skill or uh, your social skills. It simply says if you have moved into a contract to do something, do that. And if you think something else is appropriate, change the contract. Right? So, what do you think is the answer for this? That's right. The answer is B because as per the contract, the work is done, so contract is complete. I think the next question is also equally challenging, right? Let's talk about question number 11. I think question number 10 will lead the answer to the question number 11. B, B, B. Okay. Let's read the question once again. A manufacturing company signed a contract with a supplier to supply 500 parts in a year from the contract starting date. By the end of the year, the manufacturer only issued order for 450 parts and seller fulfilled the order. What should be done to close the contract? See what we are discussing in question number 10, that whatever written in the contract should be done. Only then the contract is over. Does contract says after 1 year the contract will automatically complete? The contract is about supplying parts. And what it says, 500 parts should be supplied. Isn't it? So supposed to be done. If that is not to be done, then why you are in the contract? If things has to happen as per wish, then there is no need of contract, right? Tomorrow the buyer will say, give me only 300 parts, and the seller will give 300 parts, and that's all. And because if required, suppose there is a lot of efforts are required. If a lot of efforts are required to produce these parts, and the seller has done lot of groundwork to produce five. It's a machine. It's a heavy machine. It's 500 parts. It's a costly part. It has to be imported from the outside. And suppose it takes 3 months to import, and the supplier has already ordered some. What will go to supplier? Contract is about 500 parts. 500 parts. That's all. So manufacturer should pay for the remaining 500 parts and supplier supply the to seller. So supplier should supply it and seller should or buyer should pay it. That's what the contract is and has to be obeyed. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go to the question number 12. DDBD. And I will go with the majority. The contested change where buyer and seller do not reach to an agreement. That is what it is. The changes which the buyer and seller are contesting are called claims. And the buyer and seller cannot settle them through negotiation. Yes, they can very easily. In fact, that should be the first approach to settle that they should come together, settle and see that if through negotiations they can settle them, and that should be the first approach. Everything else is secondary. What about question number 13? Okay, so D, C, C, okay, B, okay, C, C, B, D, okay, okay. You didn't see the except that's very important. And the many questions which come in the PMP exam are having this except. Okay, right. So I again will go with the majority. So a payment system includes all of the following except contract normally negotiate the price before payment. No, the contract, the price is already mentioned. It is already discussed, already settled. Now the matter is get the invoice and make the payment as per the price given in that. They cannot be negotiated again and again. If they need to be negotiated, the contract has to be revised. But But contract saying something and you negotiate something and pay, that's not going, that's 14. What is started? Which of the following contract type has lowest risk for the contractor? What is this? There is a slide, right, which says, which has put this onto the risky factor, the all the on risk scale, all the contract type, and if you see in one extreme there is a fixed firm price, and the other extreme there is a time and material, and the other extreme means the that is the highest risk for the buyer and lowest risk for the seller, and which is time and material. When this is a simple question because there is a slide on that, and one side is the time and material. Why the time and material? I think we should understand that in time and material the rate is fixed, right? Now rate is fixed. What rate says? The cost, the profit of the seller is the percentage of the price, right? You might have observed in the rate, suppose there is an architect and his cost is $100 per hour. Okay, now this $100 means there is a maybe a 30-40% of the seller's price, seller's margin, right? Margins are always in percentage. Now as the cost escalate, the profit also escalate. Therefore it is safest for the contractor and is the riskiest for the buyer, because this is the contract type which says cost reimbursement with a percentage of the cost as fee for the contractor. Contractor means seller, yes. Contractor is another name of seller. You thought it is the buyer? Oh. Okay. No, no, no. The contractor is seller. Actually, if you see the second slide, it talks about the synonyms of buyer, seller, and contract, all three. The contractor is basically a seller. If you see, contractor is a profession also. In the profession, you will say he's a government contractor. Means he normally take work from government and does the work, isn't it? You might have seen in general thing. North India normally called ठेकेदार, contractor. The simple meaning of the ठेकेदार is contractor, and contractor in Hindi is a ठेकेदार. Contract is ठेका. Okay, so let's go to the next step. And next step is I'm going to share with you PMI